Welcome to the Benaiah show. Today we sit with Anika Jackson, a powerhouse in branding, marketing, philanthropy, digital media entrepreneurship, and podcasting. She's the founder of the Brand Amplify, host of the global top ranked podcast, university faculty members at USC Anambaj, a non-profit leader, a member of the Webby Award Academy, and a single mom entrepreneur pursuing an MBA and mastering AI. Anika has built an ecosystem where technology, education, and philanthropy meet purpose, helping brand not just to be seen, but make impact. Anika, it's really an honor having you on the show.
Thank you so much, Aro. I really appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. So, Anisha, what was it like growing up?
You're getting right into it.
Yeah.
I grew up, so my mom is from Thailand. I have dual citizenship with Thailand and the US. She came over to go to school in the United States for university, ended up staying. Ironically, now she lives back in Thailand for the past 15 plus years after she retired. Um, but I grew up in Kansas. Which is in the middle of the United States. There's not a lot there. Some good basketball from college teams, but that's about it. And growing up, I was always a little different, I think, than everybody else because there weren't many people who looked like me. There were not many Asians in my community, not many mixed race people in my community. So always wanted to do more and break out and be seen for who I was rather than a box what people would put me in just
Wow.
because maybe I was a little quieter. So I forced myself to become really outgoing and extroverted, and it's funny because now, as I get older, I'm doing different things. I feel like I'm much more of an introvert. I love being
Yeah.
at home with my family. And so, a very different lifestyle from where I started because I started my entire career by being a club promoter, promoting DJs, club nights. I got my philanthropy side from the example my parents gave. My mom was a social worker, right? So she was a social worker. My dad was a teacher. My stepfather was a butcher at the supermarket. So a lot of different
Yeah,
examples
experience.
around me.
Yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing. So, what does our brand amplification means beyond visibility and marketing?
There are many ways to make your brand more visible. I used to do PR, I've done events, marketing, sending people direct mail, commercials, all kinds of things. Now I primarily focus on podcasting and digital media. In all of these things, you have to have a strong brand. It doesn't matter what business you are in, if you are in the nonprofit business, if you are a blue collar worker, if you're a white collar worker, you need to know who you are, and I always start there. So, amplifying your brand means taking who you are and what you're putting in the world, whether it's yourself, whether it is your business, and shining the light on all of the things that you do. But to do that, you have to know yourself. You have to know, why did God put me here, right? Why am I, what is my purpose on earth? What are my values? And then you move through the world with your value system intact. And as part of that, that's where the essence of your brand identity comes from. And then that, of course, becomes colors, logos, words that you use to associate with your brand, whether it's, again, your business or your personal brand. And then amplification can happen in many ways. You get asked to guest speak at an event or at a university. You go on a podcast like the one that you invited me on
Yeah.
today, Ara. You write articles. You find ways to make your presence known to the people who need to know about it, right? People say, oh, social media, social media. I rarely post on social media. And that honestly, I shouldn't say that because I'm trying to get better.
Yeah.
But I used to be really big on social media and that was my life. But now for the business I do, it's not as important. It's
Yeah.
still there, right? But it's not going to get me more listeners necessarily for my podcast. It gets more visibility. But the good thing about
Mm.
things like that and part of amplifying your brand is letting people know who you are. So you want to get interviewed, you want to write a blog or have a website, you want to be on people's podcasts. You want to reach out, you want to have some social media because then people can see this person is consistent on every platform. They are who they say they are. I can trust them. I can trust what they're telling me. Other people are saying that I can trust what they're telling me, right? You get reviews from people. And then that's the essence. That's the start.
Wow, wow. This is really, really robust. I think it's the fact that you just explained it that beyond the visibility, beyond the marketing, the consistency speak volumes to trust, speak volumes to the fact that people now came to know you and they come to accept you being that, yeah, over time you have been consistent and your tone and everything you get to say is aligning to a particular goal, to a particular purpose, to a particular thing you get to do. And that's pretty really amazing. And it's even the fact that you make reference of it that when it comes to brand visibility or marketing most times, I think it's all still hing on what is the kind of stuff you do. I mean, that some things might not speak volumes to kind of put yourself out there. Why some demand you to constantly show up. And I think it's a very lovely perspective so that we get to see the balance that it might not necessarily be everything that might need you to kind of run with it with a kind of energy compared to some other feed. So you often teach integrated marketing. How does a small business build one without a big team?
Mm. Well, so here's the funny thing. A lot of times, even small brands, if they think they need public relations or marketing services from somebody else, even for a low fee, they often, like when I had my public relations firm, they would come, say, I want to be interviewed. I need to get out there more, but they didn't know who their brand was. So I always take it back to the basics. What is your purpose, your mission, your vision, your values? So I think every business needs to start with that foundation. If you know that information, then it's much easier to pick out the channels that you're going to appear on so that you can amplify. Do love AI in many ways. I think I love a mix of like human and AI, right? So there are some tools that I like to use that can help you craft some of the messaging and also recommend based on your ideal customer where you want to reach them. And that's different in different parts of the world, right? In the US, it might mean, okay, you need to have a TikTok, you need to be on some podcasts, you need to have an ad on a streaming channel or local. In Vietnam, they're not as brand conscious, they're more money focused. So you also have to know the motivations based on your industry, right? So if you are selling at a shop in one country, they might go into your store, look at the merchandise, then go online, try to find the best deal, then negotiate it, and then get it delivered via Grab or, any other system. Where in the US or in other countries, they might care more about the brand than the price sometimes. I think right now we're all caring about the price with the economy.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true.
But you have to figure out with my company, with my organization, what will keep people coming back, even no matter what's going on with the economy or money going up and down? How can I maintain that consistency with who I am and how I'm going to show up for them? And so picking one place to be really present, you don't need to be on, you should have a LinkedIn. You should have reserve the names for every channel you're going to be on. But it doesn't mean you need to post on all of
Post.
them all the time. Just keep it simple. Figure out where they're living the most. I mean, even, the way we market now, we have Line, WeChat, WhatsApp, all these different other platforms than the traditional social channels that we think of when we're talking about social media,
Yeah.
but they are all social media,
Yeah,
right?
amazing, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Thanks for that. And I think when you actually make reference of integrated marketing, I think it just speaks volumes to you being the founder, having more like a blueprint of what it's your goal, what you actually want to achieve, and what is currently working in various communities and various countries too, so that you could actually be able to narrow it down and get the maximum results from it, being that it is small team compared to the big team that yeah they can actually more like use their money and do a whole lot of things, but you starting out small, you have to kind of sit with the board and be able to strategize what you want to speak volumes to. um
So with integrated marketing, the model that I use the most is PESO, PESO, paid, earned, shared, and owned media. So paid would be advertising, direct mail campaign, billboard, poster. Earned would be an interview like this, where you invited me on because so you're saying she is the expert that she thinks she is. And hopefully I'm able to share enough with your audience. So earned is what are other people saying about you or where do you show up for interviews? Shared is social media channels. And then owned is your email list, your website, your blog. So you want to make sure you have one in each of those categories to have a truly integrated strategy. So as a small business, maybe I wouldn't focus as much on paid immediately, but I would focus on making sure that if my product is already in the market, people are giving me reviews, that I am looking for ways to get on podcasts, right? Or get my product out and get to talk about it, shared. And then you want to take that content and share it on your social media.
Mm.
And then owned, then you might want to take like this podcast and make it a blog post on your website or in your newsletter, right? So that's a way that you take one interview or one piece of content, even just one review from somebody who's a super fan or a micro influencer you're working with, whatever the case may be. And so then you figure out how to strategically make it appear or little parts of it on all of those different things. And
Wow,
that
wow.
helps with the brand consistency too.
Amazing. Bishu. I think this is really lovely. I think it just speaks volumes so you can get more content from N and yeah, share across and being able to own it, being that you put it on your website and your various digital platform. Yeah, it's really lovely way of saying that. Thank you for making it simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you balance storytelling, strategy, and authenticity when building a brand, especially as you make reference of AI earlier? And AI keep comes in and it's the new normal. So how do we get to balance it?
It, it's so hard because every day it's changing.
Yeah.
Now we have AI influencers taking over jobs of real influencers. We have AI actors signing deals. Where does it? We have Coca-Cola. They do a big holiday commercial every year with animals. This year they did it with AI, right? So it is a real concern. How do you stay authentic and relatable as a brand? So number one, I use Claude primarily, and I set up a project. So you can use Claude, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Gemini, you can use, but if you're going to use one, pick one that you really like that will be the right tone of voice and you can set it up, right? So you can put a chat, but the better thing is create a folder, upload any information you have about your company, the way that you speak to people, who you're speaking to, all of that information. So then it has a little database that is specialized to you. So instead of just going to ChatGPT and saying, "Oh, I'm trying to reach college students to buy, whatever this
Yeah.
new product, this hat." You can be really specific. I'm trying to reach college students between this age who are hat aficionados. They love hats about their favorite sports teams. And they're, in maybe this city and this city and this city. And I want to test it out. So you get more specific and detailed. And then that way you're not getting the generic information because the AI is just spitting out what it thinks is going to happen
Yeah.
next, right? What is the next word based on all of the information, the generic information in the world? So if you just put in one thing as a prompt, you're going to get information that anybody could create. But if you put in stuff specific to your audience and your brand, your unique brand, then it'll add in those little details that are very specific to who you
Yeah.
are. And that makes the difference. So I do a lot of that. I've done a lot of talks. Obviously I teach, so I'm always redoing my presentations. I've created courses. I have my podcast as well. So I'll dump all of that in and say, okay,
Mm.
take all of this information, and this is the client that I'm sending something to, and here's who they are. So help me match up what I do with what they need so that I can present something that's more effective and that they're going to sign a contract with me,
Wow,
right?
this
Or,
is
yeah.
yeah, this is really amazing. I think it's the fact that you just make reference of how when using AI, narrow it down, not just putting the general prompt and to actually get the result you're getting. And I think it's very, very lovely because when you consistently more like narrow it down to a particular level, at one point even AI get to even understood your kind of stuff. And owing to that, you could actually more like come up with a particular stuff. Because I remember while I was trying to generate content some other time now. And I think the writer of This Is Marketing, which is what is his name again? This is Marketing by forgotten his name now. So I was trying to draft content and I actually put a name of a writer and say, okay, write it as though you are writing for this particular, just in the same word in this particular author would have used, which is Seth Godin.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
the
I
way he
was gonna
actually
say that.
the way he generated the content was as though it was Seth Godin that was talking to me. And it just dawned on me that, whoa, AI can actually master your way of actually getting content over time. If you consistently narrow it down, especially when you actually dump resources on it, not just general prompting with not too deep, yeah, prompt here and there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in podcasting, what separates a show that grows from one that feeds after a few episodes?
Mm. So, what helps with growth after each episode?
Yeah. What separates the ones that grow compared to those that doesn't grow after one episode?
And a little bit, I'm pausing because a little bit of that is the unknown, the magic,
Yeah,
right?
it's so true.
And a little bit can be prompted. One thing that I do for my guests is I will provide a folder after each episode. Here, and of course, some of it's created by AI, some of it's with my admin, but we'll create some moments. Like we're in Riverside. I use Riverside. I love the fact that it creates little clips for you, right?
Yeah, so true.
We'll take them. We'll make sure that they have what we want. Do they have the logo? Do we need to switch up some part? Maybe we don't like the part that it captured. You can change it. So then we will download those and share those with our guests, along with the graphic for their episode, the show notes, some captions for social media, maybe blog post. That is one of the best ways that I've seen growth. Just
Hmm.
and there are a lot of podcasts that will charge people for this. I don't believe in that because you're giving me your time. Time is precious. I want to thank you for being on my show. So we create that and then also they promote the episode on all of to their audience, to all of their channels, then that could be gaining you more listeners and maybe even more clients.
Yeah, so true. I think this is really lovely because I get to do this a few times, and even now I want to even start doing it more often. Being that it helps the show to grow more, and also it shows that you value the time of those who come to your podcast. Being that they're able to go with some resources they could share with their audience, and yeah, it's a win-win for the both end, and I think it's a very lovely way of doing it.
And I also put it on my website, right?
Yeah.
Going back to the paid, earned, shared, owned,
Yes.
I do
Yes. Yes.
some put some money into promoting the episodes,
Wow.
you know. So I try to hit all of the integrated marketing strategies
Yeah.
as
Wow.
well.
Wow.
So,
Brilliant.
I mean, we're self-funded, right? So we still have to be conscious of the
Yeah.
budget.
So true. So true. Yeah. So, what is the biggest misconception people have about personal branding?
There are people who say personal brand is dead. They don't think you need to have one, but I'm on the side of there are a lot of people who also argue it's more and more important, more now than ever, right? Knowing who you are, how you show up, how do you differentiate yourself from AI that could take your job? What insights? What's that special part of you that you can bring to your role in an organization or your own company? I think those are important things for us to think about. And I think the more that we infuse our own selves into these, the better our companies will be, the more honest our companies will be. And you know, I've gone to places like Red Bull and done personal branding sessions with them. And part of those sessions, it's a lot of exercises, but part of it is who are you as a brand, but then also how does it connect to your goals? Why were you attracted to work at this company? What about you and what you like to do and who you are? Is this matches that essence. And obviously Red Bull, it's known extreme sports, people who are out of the box thinkers. And then I had each of them map out a plan based on who they are and set intentions to who can you talk to about the next role you want in the company?
Hmm.
How are you going to use your brand to excel in the company to get further? And so to me, personal brand is very highly important in everything we do. And I think as we get more into the tech side of things, that who are we without knowing ourselves?
Wow, wow, amazing, amazing. Thanks for actually sharing that. And I think it's very, very key, being that at the end of the day, people get to connect with real people more often compared to when they could do actually more like, yeah, being able to fathom who and who this person is behind the brand, behind what the brand actually is. And I think it's very, very key for brand authenticity. So, how do you raise conscious children in a digital first world?
I mean, so much is digital, even we're on
Yeah,
a computer right now, right? So it's actually really funny when I feel like I know somebody because we have lots of talks and
yeah,
conversations,
so true.
and then I finally meet them in real life. I think, you know, you just have to keep on thinking of who you are in your real world and make sure you're portraying the same person online. Showing up is half the battle, right? So, yeah, I mean, you're asking some really good questions, things that are making me I'm like, "I have to think
Thank
really
you.
philosophically about this." But yeah, I think just, in this digital world, just making sure that you are consistent, that you're not showing up as somebody completely different online than who you are in real life. Because if you are and people see that, then that's where trust gets lost.
Yeah, so true. So true. Because I just remember a particular message that when it comes to respect of branding, that people want to connect with the real stuff. And they were making an analogy that imagine going to this particular shop and you saw a beautiful apple. You thought it was a real fruit, only to reach there and discover that, oh, it's a toy. It's not an apple. Will you go there again? No. Will you might get to admire it from afar, but going there again, no, because isn't that it does not it's not a real thing, So I think it just speaks volumes that yeah, consistency is key, because definitely people would love to reach out, and when they see you in real time and what you portray, it's if it does not more like resonate, there's going to be definitely going to be conflict, and yeah, it's not going to speak volume. Yeah. So can you share a moment in your entrepreneurship journey that stresses you and shape you?
Moments that have shaped me and stressed me, growth. When I started my PR firm, my last PR firm, it was right when the pandemic was hitting. And I was able to grow pretty quickly. But I also had just moved from Houston, Texas, back to the Los Angeles, California area. So I hadn't lived in Los Angeles for 8 years. When I left, I was married, you know, had just had my daughter. When I came back, I was divorced, was trying to find work. And it was very difficult because I had to do a lot of soul searching and thinking about who am I? What is my brand? How will people accept me in the world of work when I had taken some time off to be at home with my daughter? And now I have to work, right? And so that was a very pinnacle moment for me, realizing that even when you're in a place where you're used to helping other people, you have to be humble and be willing to also accept help. And I think that's one of the hardest things for people
Yeah,
to do is to say, you don't have to do it on your own.
yeah,
Other people can help you, and you must be willing to ask for it because that is the only way to make progress. And I think by humbling ourselves, it opens up more possibilities and just the energy of God, the universe, right, is more willing to flow through and to help you because you're not being stubborn and stuck. And that's what had to happen to me to get my first job. And I started freelancing and then I started my company and we started growing really quickly, but I wasn't charging what I should have because I still didn't value myself and my time. And I thought I still had to prove myself. So I got to a point in my company where we were making $500,000, but I had hired a lot of people as well. And I was making sure they were getting paid and that they had healthcare and I was not paying myself that much. And I hadn't because it happened so fast and I wasn't charging enough. And then by the time you want to charge more, it's too late.
yeah,
Um, right? Because then those clients might not have more. So maybe I wasn't attracting the right clients in the first
yeah,
place. Because I was still in that mindset of really want to help people. I do not a lot of nonprofit work, but now it's like, no, you need to run a business that actually helps your family, not hurts it. And so that's a really pinnacle moment that resulted in Me taking an offer, there was another company that wanted us to merge with them, and I would get paid a salary, a very nice salary. My team would get paid. My clients would go, and this agency had more resources. But I got in there and they changed my contract. They changed how I would get paid. I realized that the clients that they had were not the same kind of clients that I had and my values. My team didn't feel safe. My clients thought they were just a number. They weren't being taken care of in the same way. So I had to quit, even though it meant I was losing a really good paycheck. I had no backup plan. I had no money in the bank because of the situations of life. So those are some of the most trying moments, but those are also the ones that make you stronger, make you learn the lessons for the next time, see who's really in your corner and who's going to support you, even if they think you're not doing the right thing,
Yeah.
because they know that you are on a different path and you're on a better path.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thanks for actually like sharing those moments. I
Yeah.
think it just speaks volumes to sometimes things that actually stress us the most, that makes to make us go through a whole lot. There's a whole lot of things to learn from it, being that it shape us, and yeah, it wire us to say no, that can't happen anymore. Being that you have gone through it, you have it experientially that even if you are doing this now, how will I say it? It's more like a lit. How will I say it? It's more like a sensor that it can actually be able to rate any certain things close to that again, and that just puts you up to say, I need to make the decision before that get to happen, being that you have gone through a particular experience before now. Yeah. So what advice will you give to entrepreneur who feel overwhelmed by content creation?
Just start, they say keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Kiss, right? So keep it simple. Don't think you have to do everything and be everywhere. Really choose, where do you feel comfortable? Number one, maybe you don't like to be on camera. Maybe you don't want to be doing videos on social media. That's fine. Maybe get pictures. If you have a team, have shoot team members. If you have customers already or clients, have them talk about your brand so that you can at least have something to post. But do what you feel comfortable with, work yourself up to other things, and also be where your customers are.
Yeah.
So start building yourself up there. One of the best things you can do is find people who follow the same hashtag as your brand or who like similar brands. Start following them on that platform. Maybe comment on some of their posts when it has to do with the brand. Start a relationship because these personal recommendations, personal relationships, personalization is one of the big buzzwords right now in marketing. So don't be overwhelmed. Start small, but start. When you and I started podcasting, probably our first episodes weren't the best. And we get better, right? We get better with time. Yeah. So it's the same thing with hosting and posting on social media. And then when you do start feeling comfortable sharing a little bit more on video, right, or a little more of your voice, you can always put it up. You can always take it down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
So
just
true.
get it out there. Get it out there. You don't
I think
know
that is
who
a good
wants
part.
to see.
Yeah, yeah, so true. I think for me, what helped me when I actually started that was there's this particular quote that just helped me that, yeah, let it first begin and yeah, it can get better and later. So that just removed the burden of, I need to make it to this particular extent. It need to be excellent. It need to be top notch. I need this graphic here and there. I'm like, let's get it started first. Then we
Yes.
can figure it out. Then we can make it better. So there's always room to get it better, but sometimes the need to get it better sometimes can get so overwhelming that we don't even get started. You don't even want to show up, being that you're like, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not excellent yet. Let me wait till everything is get right, not knowing that most of those who you see getting it right today or who does better with what they do, you didn't see their behind the scene. You didn't see a whole lot of the content they have put down, being that it does not speak volume to their brand now. But when they started out, that was how they started. So I think it's really key that just yeah, let it first begin, and later you can naturally like make it better. Yeah. So podcasting has been part of your journey. How did that open door for you?
Oh my gosh, it opened so many doors and it
Yeah,
continues to do
interesting.
so. Started for me as well, I was podcasting for my clients. but then they didn't really understand. I would provide marketing material. They didn't really understand how to use it. It was this is in 2019, 2020. I'd had a
Oh,
radio show in Houston, and so they said, "Oh, you used to have a radio show. You can do this. You like to talk to people and host things." So they both. I had two clients who had me as the face of their podcasts, but I was doing all the work, and I was only getting enough money to pay my team. So I couldn't sustain it, and I finally had to say, "This is great. I love this platform." But then I had to just start my own podcast. And when I started it, I didn't take it too seriously. I mean, I was consistent. I saw audience growth, but I always had jobs and I, you know, wasn't making money on it. It was only 2 years ago when I realized it was a business. And it was really when I started teaching university was 2022, and a large part of me getting that job was because I had a podcast. Because they said, "Oh, you have a podcast, you can use that." It was a public relations and branding class. Said, "Oh, you have a podcast called Your Brand Amplified. You can use that in class to have teach the students."
wow.
And then it just grew and grew, and then now my podcast is where it is today. And so then I created a course for people, like, all the things I've done wrong, and how did I figure out
Yeah.
what to do right? And so I created it for entrepreneurs originally, and then it became a course for graduate students. Students are getting their master's degrees in digital social media. So now I teach the course at university.
Wow.
And
Wow.
now I'm going back and doing it for entrepreneurs, small business owners. I've been able to speak at conferences, both AI conferences and podcasting conferences, which has been amazing. It's just given me this whole other realm of being able to show up. And I will say it's a lot nicer than trying to get articles because it can take a long time to get an
Yeah.
article written about you. But and social media, right? That takes time, especially like you
Yeah.
said, if you don't know like how to super fast edit.
Yeah.
And so podcasting has opened all of the doors for me.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. I think this is very, very lovely. I think it's the fact that, yeah, just showing up with podcasting is very, I think just hearing your story just dawned on me that, oh, I need to take mine to another level because I think I started podcasting. I started this year anyway. And, and just that's actually more like started, how would I say it, consistently have a lot of episodes. And I think I started in July. I mean, in June. Yes, I started in June of this year. And since then, I've gotten up to like 100 episodes. So it has been more like back to back. So it has really been amazing. And I think a friend of mine was even talking to me about it the other time. I was already thinking about hosting more like a radio show for local businesses just to interview them on how they get started and everything. And just hearing you talk about some radio stuff, I'm like, wow, it just remind me of I need to get that into. And yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love your goals and I definitely think you should do that. And the algorithm at 100 episodes, I don't know if you've noticed this for yourself, but for me, I noticed that I started getting more views. Like
Yeah.
the algorithm just switched a little bit. 50 episodes and 100 episodes, I
Yes.
was like, "Oh, wow, people are discovering it more."
Yeah.
The longer you stay consistent, right, the
Yeah.
more it'll keep happening, and
So
then
true.
that's when you start getting the brand deals, the sponsors, ads, all of the different ways to monetize and make this part of your business, like full business.
Thank you so much. So if you could leave us, or if you could leave entrepreneurs with one challenge today, what would it be?
Really make sure that you are showing up authentically everywhere. Go back because sometimes the things that our brands stand for or the customers that we are getting are not the people we thought we'd be getting. Maybe our messaging is hitting a little different. So go back, reevaluate. Are you still living in the purpose, mission, vision, values that you originally created your brand with? If not, do you need to change? Do you need to do something to go back to those? Or are you okay where you are? And then make sure that you are being consistent. Use the PESO model, paid, earned, shared, owned
Yeah.
media. Find one small thing you can do to implement those strategies. One thing, right? Even just if it's overwhelming, don't even do it on a weekly basis. Think about on a monthly basis. Maybe you do one small paid boost a month, right? but make sure that you are figuring out ways to get your brand out there, to share your story, because everybody has a story. Everybody has a story that's important and needs to be shared because somebody will draw inspiration from you, your brand, how you started everything. And that's what we need more of in the world.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anika. This is
Thanks
really
a lot.
amazing. So, for my audience who are wondering, how can they connect with you? How can they reach out to you? And how can they do business with you too? And where is the best platform to do this?
Yeah. Well, I love LinkedIn. So we can pop my LinkedIn profile, hopefully in the chat. That my LinkedIn featured has my podcast. It has a calendar so that you can schedule time with me. I love giving free strategy sessions to people. I also have a digital avatar called it's my Delphi clone. So you can go and talk to my clone because I know
Oh,
we have a big time difference. Like it's 4:30 in the afternoon here. It's
yes, yes.
1:30 in the
So,
morning for you. So sometimes if people have an idea or they want to talk through something, they don't know who to talk through it with. Go to my Delphi for it's free. You just have to put your email address in. She has all of my knowledge. You can speak to
oh,
her, you can type to her, but all of my podcast episodes go in that. Everything, all the workshops I do, everything I teach at university, all of that information is stored. So you can go on and you can ask about your brand or how do I start getting on my personal brand? Here's what I've done. What's my next step? Or podcasting or advertising or social media or any topic like that. And so you can have those conversations. And that's a really great place to start. And then schedule time with me. And then that will also lead you to my website, yourbandamplified.com. That's how you can find my podcast. You can also schedule time with me there. And then it also links to my other services, yourbrandedpodcast.com, where I have coaching podcast services.
all right. Thank you so much, Anika. Definitely, it's going to be on the show notes for my audience to just reach out. Yeah, Anika, thank you for sharing your journey, your knowledge, and your heart with us. Your work shows that our branding is not just our strategy. It's a voice, our purpose, and impact. For everyone listening, you can connect with Anika, book a strategy section, and explore more on her work through the link that's going to be on the show notes. This is the Benaiah show where real hands, real work, and real story shape the future. I'll see you in the next episodes. And once again, it's really a pleasure to have you on the show, Anika. Yeah, thank you.